Oh boy. Um, didn't think I was gonna do another one of these for a long time. If you guys have followed the podcast for the better part of the last 5.5 years, in the early years, the first 2 or 3 seasons, did a lot of ranting and raving and getting pissed off because was so used to the team just not being good enough and losing games in hilarious fashions and things like that. And it was just so frustrating um, to get, to watch that team on a game to game, season to season basis. It was so frustrating. Um, but over the last couple of years, those rants have been less just because of the fact that the team has certainly had more success, and I've found different ways to channel my anger better. Um, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not gonna do that with this episode. I'm gonna keep it 100 with everybody when it comes to this team because we are at, I would say honestly, to some degree, at a crossroads because we are once again witnessing the same movie that we have seen for several years now, especially since Tom Fitzgerald has been general manager of this team. I want to take you back to literally a week ago. Literally a week ago, the Devils were coming off a loss on Hockey Fights Cancer Night to the Philadelphia Flyers. Was a frustrating loss, but nonetheless, it is what it is, right? And so you say, okay, let's just see how let's just see how things go, in terms of just the rest of that week, the beginning of that week, and say, okay, let's let's just, you know, forget about that game and let's move on to the week, right? So we get to the week and we have that crazy game on Tuesday against the um Monday against the Columbus Blue Jackets with um, Brendan Dillon getting hurt in his 1,000th game, and it was a lot of emotion. But ultimately, what ended up occurring was the Devils blew a 2-0 lead in a game that they were dominating and lost 5-3 to the Blue Jackets, losing another Metropolitan Division game, which you cannot do, especially even at this point in the season. So now you've lost two in a row. Then you get to the Dallas game on Wednesday, and you were pretty good for about 21, 22 minutes. You gave up one goal, and the floodgates opened, and you ended up getting shut out 3-0 at home. So you've now lost three in a row and three at home after being as dominant as you were earlier in the season at home. Then you get to Friday, and with Akira Schmid, former New Jersey Devil goaltender Akira Schmid, making his first start since being traded the year before to Vegas, along with Alexander Holtz for Paul Cotter, has a fairly easy game. Because I'll be honest with you, even though the Devils had some opportunities, they weren't all that great. Akira Schmid shuts out the Devils. They lose once again 3-0. And then you go to Saturday, or at the time of this recording, last night. You finally, you finally get off to a good start in terms of being aggressive. You're facing a fairly depleted and roster, like terrible roster looking Bruins team. You give up the first goal. All right. That's unfortunately been how it's been going. But you finally get a goal for the first time in 7 periods. You score a goal. Sorry, there was an alarm going off. You score a goal. Timo Meyer gets it. It's 1-1. This time, Timo Meyer's goal counts, by the way. Counts. You continue to push. You have a great second period, can't score. You go into the third period. and everything falls apart yet again. They had no legs, they were lifeless, and ultimately got blown out 4-1. And so the Devils finish this week with its worst week of the season. Not only do they not win a game, they don't even secure a point. And they have not won a game since not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, the Friday right after Thanksgiving, that 5-0 win over the Buffalo Sabres in Buffalo. And you have lost several games in which you look 1,000% lifeless. And so we come to this. I'm recording this on December 7th, 2025. And here we are, once again, in the same position that we have been in for years now. Several key guys, and most specifically Jack Hughes, get hurt and are out for a significant period of time. And the team takes that mentally and reacts with, well, we're just going to struggle because we don't have our best player. And they don't have Brett Pesce in the lineup. Jonathan Kovacevic still isn't back yet. Evgeny Dodonov, we have literally no idea when he'll ever come back, if he does. I mean, at this point, he's missed more games than he's played. And you went from being literally a little over a week ago in first place in the Metro, first in the Eastern Conference. You are now all the way down, tied with the Flyers, Red Wings, and the Rangers for the second and first wildcard spots. You have fallen all the way down to sixth place in the Metro Division. Granted, this year, in terms of parity, it's been very impressive. Again, you win one of those 5 games, literally one of those 5 games in this losing streak, and the Devils are at least in third place in the division. At least. But no, you're not. You're right now out of a playoff spot. You went from being one of the top teams in the East to out of a playoff spot in a week. You have the longest losing streak, I think, of any team currently in the NHL and might be of any team in the league this whole year at this point. I'm not sure. I'd have to look more carefully. And the reason that we are here is because of the same problems that we've had for years. This team isn't mentally tough. This team is not good enough to compete deep into the Stanley Cup playoffs. When things get hard, pretty much for the most part, this team folds. We've seen it year in and year out. We saw it last year. The team was already struggling before Jack got hurt, but when Jack got hurt, things really, really fell apart. And yes, the Devils did make the playoffs, but that was only because they had a phenomenal first couple months of the season where they were the best team in the league. They racked up enough points. And then guys like Nico Hischier and Timo Meier, and to a lesser extent, Jesper Bratt, literally carried the team, and they backed into the playoffs because the Flyers beat the Rangers on a random game late in the year in April and got the Devils into the playoffs. That's literally how the Devils got in. Literally. And they put up very little of a fight, except in game 3, obviously, of that first round series against Carolina. And their season ends in 5 games in the playoffs. They go out with a whimper. And they were completely banged up. Half of their defensive core was out by the end of that series. Jack was out. I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal. So you go into this offseason, this past offseason, if you're Tom Fitzgerald, and you say, this depth isn't good enough. We're not coming back with the same guys. All right. And you go into free agency and you make a couple of moves. You bring in Connor Brown. You bring in Evgeny Dodonov. You bring back Cody Glass. But that was it. That was it. After that, you essentially kept the same team. Oh, and by the way, a couple days after you were done essentially with free agency, you spoke to the media and said that your number one priority was Luke Hughes. And then that number one priority went from early July all the way to the second week or almost second week of October before Luke Hughes finally signed. And I recognize that that may not have been completely on Tom Fitzgerald. But the bottom line is simply this. This is the result of what Tom Fitzgerald has done this offseason and years in the past. He took a team in 2022-23 that won a franchise record 52 games, had one of, if not its best season in its entire history, had a phenomenal comeback in the first round of the playoffs against the Rangers. And while they went out in 5 games to Carolina, that should have been the beginning of this team being a cup contender. With the core that they have and the contracts lined up and the cap space that they had, this team was ready to pounce. And instead, Tom Fitzgerald has slowly but surely demolished what this team's identity was and turned them into an older, slower, not watchable team that falls apart when one singular player on this team in particular is out. Who, by the way, at this point we are just accepting of the fact that every year Jack Hughes, whether his fault or not, will miss time with some injury. You would have thought by now that Tom Fitzgerald would have been prepared for that and tried to find ways to better the team in depth overall so that when that eventually happens, the team doesn't completely mentally fall apart. But no, you've kept the same team for the most part from last year. You are asking guys like the following. Let me give you the following guys that we are asking on the bottom 6, just the bottom 6. Connor Brown, who got up to a great start in the year, has had 1 goal, I think, in 9 or 10 games since he came back from injury. You have Paul Cotter, who has a measly 6 points, and I think 2 in the last double-digit games. Cody Glass, who honestly should be a 4th-line center, not a 3rd-line center. Stefan Nason, who had a phenomenal year last year but does literally nothing every game. He just skates around and does nothing. Luke Glendening, who I liked out of training camp, 3 assists and that's it. Can't do anything else. And then you have Juho Lemiku. 15 games, not a single damn point. Not a single one. And this is the team that you thought Tom Fitzgerald would be good enough to compete for a cup? I firmly believe that Sheldon Keefe is the smartest man in that organization. Because in the short time that he's been the head coach, he has routinely called out his players and also called out the general manager for not doing enough. Last year, Sheldon Keefe, towards the end of the season, said to the media basically, look, this is the guys that I have, and I'm trying to coach them on how to score when they are just not able to. They're not skilled enough. They don't have it. They don't have it. This year, Sheldon Keefe has said things like, I want guys that are going to play. When people said after that 8-game winning streak that the Devils were maturing, Sheldon Keefe was the only person that said, no, we're not. We're not there yet. And he was right. This team is no different than last year. No different. And everyone on the outside, and when I mean the outside, I'm talking about the national media, right? Will continue to be kind to the Devils in some aspect and say, well, they are injured. Jack Hughes is out. Brett Pesci's out. This, that, and the other thing. But once they get that, they'll be fine. I have no doubts that the Devils will be better when those two guys in particular come back into the lineup. But all we have seen since those guys have been out is the proof in the pudding that is this team's depth sucks. It sucks. It has sucked for several years now. And Tom Fitzgerald continues to sit on his ass, do the bare minimum, and then go to the media and have the balls to say, oh, we came in second place. Oh, we tried. Bullshit. Bullshit. The fact of the matter is that Tom Fitzgerald is too scared to make a move that's going to shake this team. He hasn't proven that he can yet. And people will say, oh, well, he made the move to get Timo Meier. What on earth, what did the Sharks truly get that they still have now? At the end of the day, the Sharks didn't win that trade. They got a bunch of so-and-so, and we got Timo Meier. And don't get me wrong, that was a big praised move by everybody, including me. And I'll give Timo Meier this. He's played a lot better this year. He has stepped up. But for the last several years, he's not been the guy that we all expected him to be and what we saw in the several years prior when he was in San Jose. You have a guy like Jesper Bratt. Jesper Bratt has not scored a goal in 14 consecutive games. 14. I understand that Jesper Bratt has always been a pass-first kind of guy and can make a lot of great plays. But the bottom line is that we need this team to score. And he is one of the higher paid players on this team, a top 6 staple, usually playing on a top line with Jack Hughes, and he hasn't scored in 14 straight games. That is not an elite player. I think Jesper Bratt is a very talented player, but he's so badly inconsistent, it's a joke. It's frustrating as hell. Nico Hischier is doing pretty much about as much as he can to keep this team going. But you can tell even he, facial-wise, at times, is mentally drained from all of this. Mentally drained from every single year this happens. And it's frustrating that it seems like nobody in that locker room is doing anything from a player's perspective to figuring this out. And Sheldon Keefe continues to push, demands accountability. And I'm going to sit here and tell you guys definitively, Sheldon Keefe is the best coach this team has had in a long time. In a long time. This is not a coaching problem. This is a player problem. This is a roster construction. And this goes back to the man who is the general manager and president of hockey operations. So I asked Tom Fitzgerald, what the hell do you do every day? Everybody keeps hearing it, right? We've been seeing it. This week, we've seen several rumors. One, the Devils are very interested in getting Steven Stamkos. Two, the Devils have wanted to get Ryan O'Reilly for quite some time. Oh, and then the third, the one that never dies because it's not going to until something happens, is that the Devils called the Canucks about Quinn Hughes. And that maybe, just maybe, that might happen at some point sooner rather than later. This is all fine and dandy. But until Tom Fitzgerald actually does something, I do not care about these rumors. I could give a rat's ass about these rumors because I've seen this story so many times in the past. You could play a drinking game with every time you hear, oh, the Devils are going big game hunting. Oh, they're look for them to be the busiest team in the market. I saw a rumor today. Look for the Devils to be the biggest factor in the trade. I will believe it when I see it. I don't believe it now. I'm done. I defended Tom Fitzgerald for a long time. I am not doing it anymore. If the Devils continue to slide, and by some crazy, unbelievable situation, they don't make the playoffs, Tom Fitzgerald has to go. He has to go. There is no excuse to keep him around. No excuse. No excuse to keep having him be here. Even if there are first round exit, he has to go. Because he is the biggest reason right now that this team is where it is and where it has gone from 22-23 to now. And that's just the reality. And if you think I'm wrong, that's your opinion. But I'm telling you right now, I've seen this before. You have seen this before. Anybody who's listening or watching and is as passionate about this team as I am knows exactly that we've seen this before. We've seen this story before. We know how this story ends. We know that. We've seen it. This isn't new. This is not new. This team has scored 1 goal in the past 9 periods. 1 goal in the last, I think, 12 now that I think about it. Are you kidding me? And this is a cup contending team? Please. Please. We're not there. We're not there. And anybody who still thinks that, stop. Because you've seen this before. The fact of the matter is that this general manager has torn apart what this team is, what this team was. All about forechecking, fast pace, really good 5-on-5. And instead, we're a team that is so dependent on one player that when he goes out, not if, when, the team falls apart. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of this team. The second that Jack Hughes goes down for any amount of time, the season's over. The season's cooked. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. And I'm so frustrated with this because this is bullshit. This whole last week was bullshit. People pay money to go watch this crap. And this is just not good hockey. This is piss poor hockey. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. Let's look at this schedule for the week, shall we? Let's take a look. So the Devils play on Tuesday in Ottawa. Then on Thursday, they're at home against Tampa Bay for the last time this year. Thank God. Thank God. Then on Saturday, in the first of a back-to-back, they play the Ducks. And then the big one, Sunday at home against Quinn Hughes, potentially Quinn Hughes and the Canucks. When I look at that schedule, when I look at those games, with the way the team is playing right now, I don't feel confident they'll win any of them. I don't believe it. Because what have they done recently that makes me think that they're turning things around? They're not. This is a team that is begging for help. Begging. You have a coach that is essentially saying, Fitz, do something. Help me. This team is dying. And until something actually happens, This is the result that we're going to get. Okay? And I get it. The NHL is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's really a marathon this year because we have the Olympic break coming up. And I heard Danico say it during the Vegas game that, maybe, just maybe, this Olympic break that's coming up will be beneficial for the Devils to get fully healthy and then they'll be fine. Stop. Because the true problems are the underlying things that only the fans of this team and the guys in that locker room and the general manager know what the reality is. This team is not good enough. This team isn't good enough to compete right now. They're a team that's just trying to get by. And we have seen this story numerous times before. And it's time to cut the bullshit. It's time for Fitzgerald to shit or get off the pot. That is the truth. And if he continues this way, I want him gone. Because there is no point in continuing to use every year as injuries. We came in second place trying to get somebody. We didn't do this and the other thing. If you have to overpay at this point, I think it's the right thing to do. Because you know why? You're wasting yet another year of this core's prime. And you're just continuing to let the narrative go out that every year the team season will be derailed because of injuries and lack of depth. And you've given out some albatross contracts, including Andre Palat, who just don't even, what a horrible signing that was. And Dougie Hamilton just looks brutal this year. And he's getting paid $9 million. I mean, you've put yourself in somewhat of a cap. You put yourself in a cap constraint because of some of these moves that you make that just are ridiculous. And then you don't make moves when you should. Look at the teams that have won cups recently. Bill Zito in Florida continues to make aggressive moves. Why? Because he wants to win. And he's willing to take those risks for the future, take those risks of future assets and prospects and whatever, if it means he can get himself a cup now, because he recognizes the window that the team has. Vegas, they keep doing it. We all get pissed off at Vegas and annoyed. The reality is we're all jealous. We all want our team to be like that. And there's not enough people in this league that are willing to do that. And the Devils have a general manager that is just doing status quo. He's not willing to take those risks. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it until proven otherwise. Until proven otherwise. Because what evidence can anyone give me that makes me think, oh, yeah, definitely, like, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I am done hearing these rumors. I am done hearing about all of this stuff. I want action. Because I don't care that we are not even halfway through the season. Your season is already in trouble. You're already in trouble. And you can look to many months from now. You can look to 4 months from now when the playoffs start, if the Devils are in it. And you're going to have to look at that and say to yourself, is this team good enough? Good enough with depth, talent, everything to go win? Right now, they look like another first-round exit again. And how many more first-round exits are we going to continue to go through until actual change happens? I was really hoping that Tom Fitzgerald would do more this offseason, and he didn't. And we essentially came back with the majority of the same team, and it's the definition of insanity. Doing the exact same thing, knowing the result, and having this delusional mindset that you think that somehow it's going to be different. It's not. It's the same thing, buddy. It's the same damn thing. Enough. So that was what I wanted to say. Um, you know, I like to think of myself as a fairly reasonable person who tries to give the benefit of the doubt, but right now, I'm not giving Tom Fitzgerald or this team the benefit of the doubt. This team needs to be better. They need to start acting like it. They need to start playing like it instead of just going down and just looking miserable and just giving up before the game even starts, before they even get on the damn plane and go anywhere. This needs to be changed. Something has to happen. You need to make a move that catches people's attentions. You need to shake things up, Tom Fitzgerald. Because if you don't, you're going to be looking at the media in about 4 months from now, 4.5, and at the end of the season press conference, just go, just wasn't good enough. Just got to go back to the drawing board and, oh, well, we're not going to come back with the same team. I don't want to hear that no more. I want to see action. I don't want to hear about what the Devils might do or that they might not do. I want to see action. I'm not asking for anybody specific. I'm asking for action. I'm asking to do something to help this team because you have guys, especially in that bottom six, that should be in Utica and not playing as much as they are in the NHL. So that's what I wanted to say. So let me know let me know your guys' thoughts, whether, in the comment section here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, on social media or wherever. Um, I really didn't want to try to make this a similar kind of style podcast that I normally do. Um, but yeah, I'm just speaking from the heart, speaking from, my emotions and how frustrated I am with this team, tired of them losing, tired of them looking lifeless, having just numerous lifeless performances and doing nothing about it. And I want to see change. It's a new week, got 4 games again with a back-to-back at the end of the week. Even if you win one of these games, it's better than what you did last week. But the bottom line is that you need to make this the most important week of the season. You need to. You need to get back to your winning ways. This team has enough talent, at least on the top six, and even on the back end to an extent, that they can win games. But if they're going to continue to not believe that and just let things continue to snowball, then that's just what it's going to be. And us as fans, there's nothing we can do about it. We can only cheer and hope and just continue to have hope that things will turn around. But, we'll see how things go. Again, Devils will be off tomorrow, Monday, and then Tuesday night they'll be in Ottawa. Then on Thursday, they're at home against Tampa. And then they have a back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday with Anaheim and then Vancouver in the first somewhat Hughes Bowl of the year, with at least 2 of the 3 playing in that one. So, we'll see. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast. As always, thank you guys so much for taking time to listen, to support. Really means a lot to me. Like and subscribe to the Devil's State of Mind podcast here on YouTube. I'm so close to 175 subscribers. It would mean so much to me if you guys could help me get there by the end of this month and by the beginning of the new year, as I continue to grow here on YouTube. Tell all your friends to do the same as well. Also, make sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, do me a favor and drop a 5-star rating on either one. Either Apple or Spotify really helps continue to grow the podcast and get it out to more people. I would greatly, greatly appreciate if you could do that, and tell your family and friends to do the same. Follow the podcast on our social media platforms: Devil State of Mind on Facebook and Instagram, and also Devil State on Twitter. Follow the TikTok, Neil.Villapiano. So just literally my name, but a period in the middle of my first and last name. And also follow my BlueSky account as well for updates from the podcast, as well as updates throughout everything involving the Devils, game breakdowns, play-by-play of live tweeting, whatever you want to call it, and anything else we got going on. And yeah, thank you guys as always for checking out the Devil State of Mind podcast and this episode. And we will see you in the next episode. Let's just continue to hope, guys. Let's continue to hope that something's going to happen and things are going to turn for the better. Um, and yeah, we'll see where things go. But everyone continue to be the awesome people that you are. And as I always say, regardless of how good or bad this team is, I do this at the end of every episode. Put those horns up, baby. And let's go, Devils.